You get to the end and you're always anxious and nervous about getting out clean and getting out healthy. And for the most part, we did today. Jamal Richardson hurt his shoulder late and already had that injured. So really nothing new as far as an injury is concerned. Darian Cotton, who left the field late, as you might have seen, did not break his thumb from the x-rays that they took here. So we're thrilled about that. And overall, we end the spring as a very healthy football team with the group that took the field. Now, certainly come August, we'll be even happier to have the rest of the guys join us and put a full complement of a squad on the field. Thought there was a lot of energy on the field today in a very vanilla fashion, both offensively and defensively. Defensive guys, especially early, swarming to the ball and playing together as one unit. Trevor Ryan, I think probably, if you gave out such an award, would be the MVP of this spring game, and he's had a strong flourish to finish. And exciting for us to have another walk-on in our program rise to the surface like we've seen him. Certainly a guy that we'll count on special teams, if nothing else, come this fall. That we still have a long ways to go with what we're working to accomplish offensively and defensively. And again, it's hard for you and the public fan to judge a football team by this day, because I penalize both sides of the ball, coordinators, with what I allow them to do, and you don't get any type of rhythm. You certainly don't get any type of game planning going on. So you're out there playing fundamental technique football, and it's hard to find consistent success when that's the way you're playing. Shifts from offense to defense. So I know that going in. So what I take away from today is I thought as a defense they tackled well. I thought they limited space that the offense had to work with, and that's something critical to our success as we move forward in this league, whether it be run game space or quick pass game space. And something that's been a priority to us. Offensively, we've had too many balls batted down, and with some of the stuff that we're trying to do as an offense that can't take place. You can't operate an offense efficiently without having a good center quarterback exchange, and that plagued us today. So those will be priorities heading into August for the offense for sure as we get the rest of the football team back. Grant had his best day of the spring by far. I thought he was sharp. I thought he was more poised and controlled and at the same time urgent than he had been in the two other Saturdays that we came out and got this type of work. Not pleased overall with Sam or Joel's completion percentage as it ended up, but Grant's was fantastic. I thought, from my vantage point, in a scrimmage situation, that's my number one priority. I want to see how those guys are operating the offense and how they're communicating, how they're taking what they get from the sideline and what they see on the field and the execution of plays. And I wasn't disappointed with any of those guys. And I think you're very accurate that there's no need to read anything into Grant's performance and where that takes the 2 position or the 3 position or the starting position. Sam is our guy, and as we discussed 3-4 days ago, whenever it was, we got two guys that will build packages around and be able to operate with if something would change or happen. We've got to run more physical and behind our pads more. We miss Martinez Syria right now. I think that's obvious. He's the one true guy that moves the pile. Mike and Tyler are capable of that, and in my opinion didn't do a good enough job of that today. These guys are strong in the weight room, and they've got to continue to learn how that applies on the football field, and that's with their eyes up and being able to bring their hips and all that strength behind that force as they run. There's a time when you run to daylight and make your cuts and run with speed to gain as many yards, and there's a time that the pad's got to drop with your head up and you got to push the pile, and we got to get better at that. Right. That he was practicing. That's hard. You think it's a penalty to the defense, but it's a penalty to Quentin to not be able to turn, drop his shoulder, and play the game like he'd like to play it. I still think he's a tad bit gun shy. I do think that'll change a great bit when the doctors say you are 100% full go. Don't worry about anything. And when we do that, I think his concentration at catching every ball will be what it needs to be. But and we talked about it early, his explosiveness off the line of scrimmage and certainly no decrease in his speed is what you're happy to see coming off an ACL surgery and recovery. He stood out a couple times, and he's a guy that finally on our defensive front can create plays, and he does that through explosiveness and separation of a blocker. For those guys can be where they're supposed to be and not make plays, and that's not good enough. He's where he's supposed to be and separates and gets off and either makes a tackle or creates a pressure or pushes it to somebody else. And I think you saw Jay Jones show up at times today and Jamal Wiltz. I don't know. I didn't notice him as much. Sometimes I always notice the bad things, like the one missed tackle that he had. But these are guys that are all doing those kinds of things and showing up. But certainly, Demond might be the most important because of where we've lacked.